Hello. Hello there. Oh, that's what I was gonna do. I forgot. So I didn't want to come on with a title today, and I was like, well, I could do that thing that some people do when they start with cards already out. Let's call it a premeditation. Let's call it a few cards that I just wanted to check in. It's just a bit, it's a bit. I just wanted to check in on the energy. The first two cards that came out were I literally just saw you. Oh, is this a reminder? This card is so sweet. I got this card. Okay, interesting. And I was like, wow. Um, First the Ten of Wands, and oh, it literally just happened. I don't know how I forgot already. Another Ten of Wands came out, and I was like, not feeling that. And then, um, so I was like, okay, because I did a top and bottom, and I was like, nah. See, if the same thing come out, then that's one thing. I'm gonna have to get some jumpers or some floppers, some fallers. And then I got first the Ace of Wands came out, and then the Archangel of Healing that I had already seen had came out with a few other cards, but I just took this one because it was the one at the top of the little pile. And I was like, okay, so this is about healing the world, but I didn't want to title this Healing the World. And so I was like, well, what can I title this? Because I got a feeling like, we sort of do it within ourselves, and then that's what happens, reinforced by, one second, reinforced by this temperance energy that was at the bottom of the deck. And so I was like, and then it just came to me, it's like, it's like taking care of your slice of the pie will ensure that, the rest of the pie is looked after. If we're all sort of in charge of a section of land, if we take care of our piece of the land, then that's us sort of doing our part to make sure that the land as a whole is taken care of, right? And so hopefully this is a lot shorter today because I actually have work to do. I keep saying, oh yeah, I'm going to be done by July, by the first week of July. I'm going to have everything that I need done because it's time for me to move on with my life. And before I can move on with my life, I got to take care of the stuff that I'm in right now. And I was a procrastinator. And it's time to break that. But then I'm like, wait, it's like almost the second week of June. The first week of July isn't like a month. Because I was like, oh, because the lunar eclipse is today. Speaking of the lunar eclipse, there's the moon at the cut. The lunar eclipse is today. And I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll finish by the solar eclipse. Because that's like what? Like, for some reason, I was thinking the solar eclipse was in July. But the next lunar eclipse will be. And that would give me about a month. There's a star. And so, yeah, hopefully I'm going to keep this a little bit shorter today. I guess I don't like misspeaking. I do it a lot because whenever I talk, especially if I'm talking about something that, like, I'm doing whatever with. I've been seeing this Five of Wands so much lately. I just showered, ain't got no lotion on. Hopefully I'm not too ashy. But if I am, I am. Let's do one of these first. So I'm going to pull the Wisdom of Lord Ganesha, and then I'm going to pull... Actually, oh, well, there we go. Oof, well, oof. All right, that just came. Oof, okay, and then all of these. I'll take the one on the top. Left at the bottom of the deck is concentration, which is exactly what I'm talking about, or what I need to do, because I'd be all over the place. I misspeak a lot because I have a lot of stuff just like jumbling in my brain, and like I know what I'm talking about, but it doesn't necessarily always come out. And so yesterday I'm up here talking about the Tower of Babylon. It was the Tower of Babel, first of all. And as I kept saying like Tower of Babylon, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's the Tower of Babel. But then I thought of the Library of Babel, and I was like, oh, that's the Library of Babel, so that doesn't make sense. But then I thought of the Library of Babel, I'm like, okay, that kind of sort of makes sense. And another thing, I don't know if I completed a few of the thoughts yesterday, but I guess what I want to say is that, like, it's time for us to be great instead of just talking about how great we are. Because I feel like we've gotten complacent in the story in the stories that we tell of our greatness, and we've stopped pushing forward to be great, right? So the two cards that, oh, double D's, decision and delight. First, the decision card came out, like it just flipped right over, and I was like, oh, okay, nice. And then the delight card came out with a few cards, and I just took it because it was at the top, right? So we got decision and delight. I'm actually gonna pull these three for decision, gonna give it a cut, and then I'm gonna pull three more for a delight, and we'll see if that works. Bottom of the deck is the bereaved, the Three of Swords. Um, yeah, I feel like there's stuff that I want to talk about, but I'm also at the same time, like I said, trying to finish. So tell me why I wake up because I couldn't sleep last night. It was like 4 something in the morning, and then I'm just scrolling on Facebook, and I see one of my friends like, "Does anyone know like Does anyone know their natal chart?" And I'm like, people on my friends list talking about natal charts. No, this is the same friend that was talking about life path numbers, so I shouldn't be too surprised. And I get on there, and she's talking to one of my other friends who I actually met in the 3rd grade when I had a short stint at a different school. I transferred. It's a story. But I met her, and she's been like so cool. And then I don't think we went to the same middle school, but we kind of sort of reconnected towards the end of high school because we were in some of the same classes. And Gaia popped up on my Facebook because of my internet activity, right? And I saw that she liked it, and I was like you like Gaia? Because like you can like numerology, you can like astrology, you can like life path numbers, you can like a lot of stuff. But to like Gaia, I feel like that's huge. And I never said anything to her. And so I see this post and they're having a full blown conversation. And I'm like, of course it was like yesterday or the day before or something. And I'm like, I done missed out on this whole conversation. I could have been talking with people who I know in real life about this stuff. Like, what? And so now I'm just like, I want to say something, but I don't know what to say. I don't want to be like, hey, because of Facebook ads, I see that you like Gaia. Let's talk about it. And the way she was talking about the natal chart, she was like, let's get into this. I'm like, ooh, where are you? I'm very excited about it, if you can't tell. And it's so interesting because last night on Twitter, because it was like 2 in the morning, and I got a text that was like, hey, are you up? And I was like, I was about to go to bed. And he was like, I need help. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then after that, I'm like, I feel like I'm so many things for so many people. Like, I wish I could find someone who could be something for me. You know what I mean? And once I find that person, like, I wish I could, like, actually have a relationship with that person who could be someone who can be something for me. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, I feel like I'm quite a bit for a lot of folks, and I wear many hats, kind of sort of when I'm asked to. Um, so it would be cool, And then I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see these people who I actually know in real life, like I said, who I've known in real life for a minute. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Because, like, when I got into astrology, ain't none of my friends into it, really, in real life. And so with my one friend, and it's funny that I'm talking about him because I had a dream that I was helping one of my brothers move, or he was moving. And then all of a sudden I get a message. I get a few messages. I get a lot of messages from somebody. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm still replying. But they're just like, doop, 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 doop. I was like, I guess you got a lot to say. Okay. And when I was starting to reply, it was all on Snapchat. And when I was starting to reply, I noticed that the chalkboard sent me a message. And I haven't talked to the chalkboard since January or December. think it was January, when I was just like, hey, like the lesson's over. I'm stepping away from the board. I've written my sentences. I'm done. Um, but I had a dream that he met. Like when I was about to reply to the other person, he sent me a message. I was like, what is this about? What? I didn't even read it. And then I woke up not too long after that. But anyway, um, he would be like that was like one of the things because he was one of the people I talked to a lot. Now, to be fair, there were some people that I had recently met last summer. Like I met them that summer because we all worked together, and they were like getting into it. And so I had a few people to kind of sort of talk with, and so it was fun. But again, like those were new friends. Like these are friends. These are people that I've known since I was in middle school, elementary school, and I'm like, oh. Uh, and just like it made me excited. Um, but yeah, anyway, I said I'm not gonna like rant and amble. Oh, has it been? No, it's been 4 minutes. It was 11:09 when I looked at the clock, and now it's 11:13. It's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna read these first, and then I'm going to get into the book, or I may not get into the book. So we have the card of decision. And the thing I love about this card of decision is you see this instrument that I will call a wand. And you also kind of see, I don't know how old he is in this picture. Could you kind of see like Ganesha at different phases of his life throughout this deck? But he looks a little younger. And you have that wand. And I feel like the this on this wand speaks to the not the weight, but like the meat, the substance of that power, right? Because like look at it, it's like a pumpkin that's like, you could tell that it's full and that it's not like rotten and decayed and it's empty on the inside. Like you can tell that like there's a certain amount of abundance, I guess, that comes in with this weighty decision, right? And then the three cards I have are the Queen of Swords. We saw her yesterday. We got the Ivory Shield and the Scarlet Shield, right? Yes, the Scarlet Shield in the Ivory Shield, Queen of Swords and Queen of Cups. Two fluid queens, Queen of the Mind, Queen of the Heart. The mind and the heart are both guarded, and I should not be surprised what the third card is. This is actually extremely interesting, though, because we've got a pair, the Archangel Commander. So the King and Queen of Swords are both on the table with the Queen of Cups sitting in between them. And so this tells me that when it comes to this decision, there's a lot of thought and maybe some worry, maybe some anxiety, maybe some fear because there's so much thought. It's like overthinking, right? But I feel like the thing that sits in between these two is this Queen of Swords or the Queen of Cups. And again, at the bottom of the deck, at the bottom of the deck now is this Three of Swords. So that would be a reconciliation energy, I guess. And that was not necessarily the intention. I mean, I guess I didn't have an intention, but I'm going to read this. Also, I was in the shower and I was getting out of the shower, and the word equinox came to my mind. And I was like, how interesting is it that we use equinox? Because I feel like we'd be more focused on the day. So the equinox is the point in the year where the amount of daylight is equal to the amount of nighttime, where the day and the night are equal. Equinox equal night, right? I was like, it's so like, why don't we like focus on the daytime? That's so weird because we work in the daytime, we live by the daytime, like we sleep at night. Why is the focus on the night? But then I went to the solstice and I was like, oh, well, the summer and the winter solstice are like, that's based on the sun, right? The soul and solstice. And then you have the nox and equinox. And I was like, that's interesting. So I guess we got that. And then I was thinking about something else. I guess I was thinking about how I'm thinking about how I'm coming into like I'm kind of sort of coming into both my Cancerian and Leo energy at the same time. I mean, I was coming more into the Cancer energy first, and then I went to thinking about where I was in February, and that was the beginning of February when I really started getting in back into my feminine energy. But when I got into my feminine energy in a way that was more conscious than I was in it before, because I had experienced my masculine energy, I guess, I don't know, for the first time in like ever in my life. But I was just thinking about how in February I got into my feminine energy, and how there's almost this call for feminine energy right now to come in and to do something. And that was about 3 months ago, because it was Aquarius season and now we're in Gemini season. It was before Pisces season because I was home by Pisces season, I'm pretty sure. And I know it was before Valentine's Day, so it was Aquarius season. When I started like, and honestly, my introduction to it, or when I like started really getting into it, is when I started cooking a lot more. And at first I was like, oh, this is the Taurus in my chart, because Taurus and Cancer are both like the culinarians of the zodiac, right? Um, and I guess it kind of sort of started that way, but then it sort of led into the Cancer. Now, Mercury is in Cancer, just like, and part of it was that sort of Venus interaction, because I guess my Mars and my Venus square. My Venus is in Aries and my Mars is in Cancer. So Venus is in Aries, Mars in Cancer. I have two placements in Capricorn, and my Jupiter is in Libra. So well, we got cardinals all over the board. All that stuff happening in Capricorn right now, with squaring and opposing, all kinds of stuff. Now, it was squaring my Venus, but my Mars is so early in Cancer that it was like 11, if not more, degrees out. So it's fairly fine, right? Fairly unaffected. But anyway, now I'm coming into more of this Cancerian energy and Leo energy at the same time, because of all of the things within me that kept me from reaching that point. Like, I had such a fear of like being perceived as like big headed, or being perceived as if I have an ego or anything else, that I would not rise up to all of who I am. Um, that's that's gone. And I've been talking about healing my Chiron. Like, I'm going to heal my Chiron. I'm going to get my Leo back. And I feel like I've done it. And at the same time, I've come into like, I'm coming into my Cancerian energy, right? And that's like divine masculine, divine feminine energy in the zodiac with the sun and the moon. And then here we are in this period of an eclipse. And what am I talking about this for? There was something on here. Oh, because like if this isn't with somebody else, I feel like this is within the self. Because honestly, a lot of times it's like if we have anything with anyone outside of us, a lot of times it's a reflection of things inside of us, right? Now, if our reflection is what I won't tolerate or put up with in my life, and then you get cut out, then hey, that's our interaction. That's me coming into my power to be like, you know what? I could sit and entertain this. I could sit and look beyond, but no. Also, I'm kind of sort of like figuring out, I feel like I figured out my Chiron and how all that happened. Because when I was really little, like Aries and Leo, I could see it. Also Pisces, because I still cried a lot. um, but I was definitely a lot more fiery when I was like really little. And then it was around mid fifth grade going into middle school. And then by like seventh grade, like all of that shut down. And then all of the earth came out in my chart and all the fire went away. Um, but I'm thinking about my natal retrogrades, because my Jupiter is in Libra retrograde. And I was watching Mystic Witch Tarot. I love Mystic Witch Tarot and Opal Oracle. Those are my two most recent favorites, because it's been a little more difficult for me to find readers who aren't about like love and like your person and what your person is doing. And it's fine, because there's definitely I don't want to say a market, but there's definitely a demand and a desire for that. There's definitely a desire for that. But at the same time, it's like, well, what I'm most concerned about is like me getting to where I need to be, making sure I'm not overlooking anything. And a lot of times, especially lately, I feel like it's been easier for me to kind of sort of get wrapped up in some things rather than other things. But I mean, I asked for people who talk about stuff that's not love so I can get a little bit of a, more complete snapshot of my life, um, and those energies. And then here came those two. I was like, oh my gosh. But she was talking about the Six of Pentacles as like giving excess. And I feel like I can be extremely charitable, but what I haven't done is pour into myself enough to have that excess overflow to the point where like I can give to people and then not regret it like a month later. And I never regret it, but it's like I come into these periods of like maybe I get a little bit of a whatever. And it's like, oh, I want to do this for that person, and I want to do that for that person, and I want to do this with that person, so I'm going to pay for it because that's the type of person I am. If I want to do something with you, I don't mind paying for it because I want to have that experience with you. Um, but then it's like not sustained. So time will pass. There'll be a bill that's due or something. And I'm like, oh, wow. Like, I don't regret doing that, but I wish I had more money. And I think that kind of sort of speaks to my Jupiter in Libra in retrograde, where it's like, it's trying to, and it winds up like I got Libra and Taurus placement. So I got Venus all up in my chart. And then my Aries, my Venus opposes my Jupiter at the same time. So the ruler of Jupiter, or the ruler of Libra, opposes the planet that I have the placement in. And then it in conjuncts the other one. Well, Venus and or Taurus and Libra always in conjunct. So, you know, right? Yeah, they do. Um, but it's like I don't give to myself the same. I don't give to myself to the same degree that I give to other people. And when it comes to good fortune, because I don't give to myself the same degree that I give to other people, I feel like there's this aura of good fortune that I have that I'm able to, in some ways, direct and flow in external directions, but I haven't been able to get to work for myself in the past. And maybe I have, but in ways that I didn't realize it. But if there's one thing if there's one thing that the past few months have taught me, it's that I need to give to myself. And for some reason, I don't know if it is my Jupiter and Libra retrograde, but I'm like it's time for me to like kick up my manifestation game for myself. But then I'm like, oh, like I don't know if I could do that. Like, I don't know if that's right. And now I'm like, do I not know if this is right because it's not right? Or do I not know if this is right because of other things? And I was talking to my friend Emily the other day because she called randomly out of the blue, and it was such an amazing conversation. And it's something that she said in the past that I kind of got, but I didn't really get it. And I said something about like how I am now because of all of the things that I've decided to do. How I have this Libra and this Aquarian energy that's kind of sort of always been there. But without this Queen of Cups in between, which is Cancerian energy, something about this didn't work, right? Because, see, I feel like there's a lot of pitfalls when it comes to a lot of the happy energies in the deck. Like with the Ten of Cups, it's like you have all of the fulfillment that you need, and that's what's the most important part. But what if you don't have the finances? What if you don't have the food? What if you don't have the shelter? And like, yes, the love is more important, but also at the same time, like having a belly that's not, like touching your back is important as well. And structure and foundation physically is important as well, because it's part of that stability. And then you have the 10 of pentacles, but you can have all of this wealth, all of this abundance, but if there's no love in it, then it's what, an obligation. It's something that you continue to do because of all of the time that you put into it, but you're not really fulfilled in any way. And just like with the King and Queen of Swords, I feel like logically it can make sense for them to be together. Maybe they have a lot of like interesting ideas or debates or whatever, like mental stimulation, because that may be something that they value, but without any emotion to really keep that love in there, then it's just like, it's like everything in balance. And that's one thing that the person had told me in the message. They said that they had experienced like all of the elements. They were like looking at their life and sending me pictures and doing all of this other things. And it's like, I've experienced all of the elements. And then they even broke it down into the signs for some reason. And he's like, I think they got like all of the fire. And it's like, I've been experiencing the element of earth a lot lately, but I haven't experienced Virgo or something like that. I think it was Virgo. I think Virgo was the one that they haven't experienced. And I guess I didn't too much think about it at the time because I was getting a lot of messages from this person and I was trying to reply. And then I got a message from that other person. I'm like, oh my gosh, what? Where are you coming from? But I guess Virgo would be that purity, right? And the thing about the earth is it is its most potent and it's at its most powerful when it's clean, right? And it almost speaks to the delicate balance of everything, because it's like, if things are messy, then that's time and energy and effort that you have to devote to navigating that detour, right? Compensating for the mess in some way. And whenever you compensate for the mess, it affects the outcome of whatever situation. Like, yeah, like I've experienced all the elements. They were talking about fire for a minute. And then they're like, I've been connecting to the earth or something like that, but I haven't experienced Virgo. And again, like it was a dream and there was a lot of stuff coming in. So in that moment, I didn't have time to process it. But now Virgo also gives me like Vesta energy when it comes to the Vestal Virgins, the keepers of the flame. Because was it Rome? I think it was Rome, where they had the sacred fire and it was their duty to keep the fire lit. And I think there was some kind of prophecy that if the fire ever went out, then the empire would fall. Maybe not, because again, lots of stuff in my brain. And also, because I brought it up the other day, right? When I was like, where would Earth fit into the major arcana? When I was talking about how judgment is fire, um, the magician is air, and the hangman is water. I was like, where's the Earth? And where is the card associated with it? And then it kind of sort of popped into my mind, and it's perfect today. It's been running in the back of my mind this whole time. That's kind of sort of how my brain works. It's like I posture this question, and then things kind of sort of like cogs kind of sort of turn and spin in the background. And as I go about my life, pick up other information, eventually it clicks. And it kind of sort of came immediately, but not immediately, but it came after that video. I said I wasn't going to be on here for a long time. I'm not going to worry about the time because I'm going to finish what I need to finish in due time as long as I do the work in every area. So I'm going to do the work to make sure that I finish, right? But it came to me like Earth would be the empire, and it would sit between the emperor and the empress. It would be the empire. And then I thought about it when I was getting out of the shower, and I was like, well, the empress is Venus, and the emperor is Aries, which is ruled by Mars. So between Venus and Mars, we would have Earth, and in the solar system between Venus and Mars is Earth. And Earth, being the empire, is exactly that energy of the intersection of the empress and the emperor, where it is extremely bountiful and the resources are just overflowing when in balance, right? When we take what we need and we're not trying to satisfy gluttony and all this other kind of stuff, right? When we take what we need, there's plenty. Um, and it speaks also to like I've been talking about, blah blah blah. It also speaks kind of sort of to the law of attraction. With the emperor, on the emperor side, it speaks to the law of attraction, where we align our minds with the outcome that we want to see. And then with the empress side, it speaks to the abundance of resources available. That it's almost like I've been watching a whole bunch of the new Powerpuff Girl videos lately, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I kind of want to watch I just want to watch the series, or I just want to watch it. But there were these things called like Buglies or something like that, and it's like you would say, hey Bugly, give me this, and it would just pop up with that. And it's very much that energy between the empress and the emperor when it comes to the empire. It's like the planet itself holds the frequency of anything that we could ever want or need, but it's up to us to come into that sovereign space to really be able to command those energies. And I use the word command because I guess the Archangel Commander is here, and it's related to the suit of the mental, the mind, right? The Emperor. He is a king. But I use command because it speaks to this element of decisiveness, right? And I'm thinking command in kind of sort of less of an authoritarian way, or an authoritative way, more in a decisive way. But there's also an element of reverence there because it's not just the emperor, it's also the empress. um, and so yeah, the earth would be the empire. It would sit between the emperor and the empress, which is perfect because earth sits between Venus and Mars. um, oh, okay, cool. So they say that your earth sign is the opposite of your sun sign because of the relationship between the sun and the earth. So, they're kind of sort of like we're always facing the sun, right? So if the sun is in, for example, let's say Pisces, because I'm a Pisces, and this is what I was just talking about, I guess, in a way. Funny how this all works. So if your sun is in Pisces, then your earth would be in Virgo because the sun is always facing the earth. They're always facing each other. So if the sun is up here, you know that the earth is right here, and that's what they do. And so that would be the Virgo energy that I'm missing in my chart. Like Virgo is the only zodiac that I have no energy at all. It's the only one. And I've been looking at my chart lately, and I never look at the major angles when it comes to aspects, but that is something that you can do. So if I take the major angles into account, I have a grand fire trine between my Venus, my North Node, and my Chiron. And I've progressed to the point where those are all unlocked to me, so I have access to it. I have a grand air trine between my Jupiter, my Saturn, and my South Node. And then I have a grand water trine between my Mercury, my Pluto, and my IC, which is that last major angle. And I was like, what? I have these, like, if I take angles and other things into account, I have 3 grand trines in my chart. Again, I don't have any Virgo energy. So, and then when I look at sextiles, because I have, I'll just show y'all, I guess. Well, I don't necessarily have to. Hold up, wait 1 second. Oh, give me 1 second, y'all. Hey, Mimi. I just happened to look down at my phone and I noticed that my mom texted me. She asked me if I wanted some food, and I'm like, I ain't trying to go hungry, and I know she ain't gonna give me nothing if I don't reply. So, yeah. So I was like, oh, let me call her back, and she ain't even reply. She in there on the phone. I heard her laugh, and I was like, okay, she's still here. Cause all right, but yeah, I'm doing well today. I'm talking a lot more than I thought I would, but I'm doing well. How are you? I'm talking about how I've been looking at my birth chart. It's like every time I look at my birth chart, I find something new. Because first, I'm glad to hear it. First, I've been talking about my grand fire trine. I was like, but Chiron in my north node, but then I also have a grand air trine unlocked by my south node. And then, if you look into major angles, my IC gives me a grand water trine. So I have the energy of a grand fire trine, a grand air trine, and a grand water trine in my chart. And I was like, I don't have any Virgo. Virgo is the only zodiac sign where I have like no energy at all. And my earth sign would be in Virgo since my sun is in Pisces, because your earth sign is always opposite your sun sign. And then I had this dream last night where someone was like, I've been connecting to the earth, but the only element, and now I'm talking about it, but it was somebody else who was telling me, which is interesting. And somebody else was telling me how they were focused on fire, and I've been focused on fire. So maybe I was talking to myself through somebody else. I don't know. Um, yeah. And so my earth sign would be in Virgo. And in my dream, they were like, I've been connecting to the earth, and I've been connecting to all these zodiac signs, but I haven't been able to connect to the energy of Virgo. And now I'm like, oh, well, my earth sign would be in Virgo, and that would give me every element in the wheel, um, with the earth unlocking that last one. And the earth being the empire, the earth sort of being that energy that we all, it's like it's the energy that we all carry, but oh, the it would kind of sort of, I don't think this is necessarily it, but this is how I'm beginning to make sense of it. It's almost like the earth sign would be the self, like the core self, the self at the center of the wheel, the self that is not our emotions and not our experiences, but is who we truly are before all of that comes in and builds off of the self and creates whatever it creates in the image of self. It would be the center of the wheel. And Earth, with astrology, a lot of times we look at how all of the energies outside of us affect us and how the energies outside of us are reflections of us and can give us a picture of who we are. Pepper Jack. Um, all of those would be a reflection of us outside of us, affecting us, giving us who we are. But who we are truly would be our Earth sign. But here, it's like we're so exposed to everything that it's like, you know what I mean? It's like it still is. It's like it's there, but it's less of the focus because our focus is so outside. Swiss or provolone? I'll do Swiss. Also, my brain has been going to. I've been eating a whole bunch of sugar. Okay, no problem. Also, I've been eating a whole bunch of sugar, and I'm like, oh, I'm so silly. I was like, oh, I'm coming into my fairy DNA. I was like, it's buried in the Irish in me. I'm just playing. But I don't know. There'd be these times, but then I thought of Opal Oracle, and Opal Oracle would be like, well, the sugar that you're craving is that's you replacing the sweetness that you're not getting from something else. And then I had this moment. And it started off with like that just silly whatever, but then like Opal Oracle popped into my brain because she's been talking about that a lot lately. Because her monthlies for June were all about the inner child. Yeah, and she no House of Oshun maybe because I just watched. I couldn't really sleep last night, so I watched her water sign weekly mudra reading, and she said something about dropping weight. I believe it was her. She said something about dropping weight because of other things. Not was it? It was either her or Opal Oracle. It might have been Opal Oracle, but it might have been her. Or it might have been Pisces TV. Somebody said something about dropping weight. I think it was Pisces TV. Because she was also talking about illnesses and diseases and how a lot of them can manifest from the mental and then be reflected in the body. And she was like, if you're doing this and if you're doing that, you may find yourself just like dropping weight because like mentally, emotionally, maybe spiritually, you're dropping weight. So physically, you begin to drop weight. It was one of them. I don't know. Somebody said something about that. But yeah, Opal Oracle would be like, you eating all this sugar would be you trying to replace some of the sweetness that you're not finding in your day to day life. And then I was like, ooh. But anyway, I'm going all across the board, all over the boards, all over the map. But when it comes to this decision, and I did all of that to say that, this doesn't necessarily have to be a this person and that person coming together, because even a this person and that person coming together is a reflection of the you and the you coming together on the inside. If that's the dynamic that you play. And so we have this king and queen of swords with this queen of cups in the middle. And this is a cardinal energy. This is also Cancerian energy. This is about the home. And one of the things, and maybe it's just my journey, but oh yeah, and that reminds me of something because I played Dungeons and Dragons with the library club for a bit. It was so fun. with the library club for a bit, and there was this person who wanted to make her character. I mean, I feel like it's kind of sort of a both thing. Um, well, I feel like it is a both thing, but it may be important to differentiate eating with gaining weight, because naturally, physically, eating is a way to gain weight, but like things like metabolism is also a thing. So if you have a high metabolism, you can eat a lot but not gain weight. You can eat a lot and lose weight if you have a high metabolism. It's all about eating to where your body is. And so if there's a moment in time where your body needs more energy, your body may also burn that energy. You know what I mean? So yeah, then it could do both. Um, oh, what was I talking about? Oh, I don't remember. It was just in my head, but it's fine. So anyway, we have this is a cardinal energy, which means this may be a brand new conversation. This could also imply that if this is a you and somebody else, maybe you were both guarded and it was this guardedness sitting in between them, emotionally guarded, that kept them from really coming together and being on the same page. There were some decisions that needed to be made on both sides in order to get this to work. And I feel like these were decisions that needed to be made with the heart or in the heart. Um, oh, yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think, and I already read it, I think it's my journey to, or it's at least my perspective, to focus more on finding and creating home because this cancer energy is sitting in between them, right? And I feel like there are a lot of people, and again, I have a lot of opinions, and I'm gonna say them. If they resonate, fit for you, they do. If they don't, they don't. Everyone is different, and we all have different angles of approach. And for some people, it will work, and for some people, they adopt it and they try to make it work even when it doesn't. But I feel like there are a lot of people who would call themselves like star seeds, who would go through these experiences of never fitting in, never quite feeling at home here, and who would live their whole lives wishing and wanting to be home. But I remember, and again, that was for me when I did whatever I did, and I shared it in one of the mega readings. It's like, it's not like you're not home, you're not going home, you're not going to be home. It's about creating a home, it's about finding a home, it's about building a home. It's about embodying that energy, vibration, frequency of love and building upon that and expanding upon that so it becomes this flower on this planet that then the wind can pick up your seeds and your love can grow and flourish and blossom. How you can have an entire field of flowers over time that come from one seed. And it's just like on Animal Crossing that I've been playing. Like, there are these areas where I had a few flowers, but I watered all of my flowers for a few days. I watered all of the flowers. And flowers in the game, they can like kind of sort of self proliferate because it's just like in the real world. Like, if the wind blows a seed and the seed ends up in the ground, it'll grow, right? And you do have like cross pollination that can happen when you get hybrids, but at the same time, you can get one flower that then begets more flowers. So I got these areas of a whole bunch of flowers where there was only one flower, and it's kind of sort of that vibe. Um, it's about anchoring it in here, building off of it, and creating, building, establishing a home here. And once you get of a certain age, you get to determine and you get to decide you're living for the most part. We get to determine and we get to decide our living situation, the people that we sort of surround ourselves with. And so, like, if it hasn't been your experience that naturally, maybe growing up, you ever found people of like mind, then that's a very valid experience. And I'm sure it taught you plenty of things. But it's not for you to be stuck in that mentality of always being on the outside, because there are lots of people here who are into lots of things. And if there's one thing that the internet has done, it's connect people of same interests across many, 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 many miles who would otherwise never come to know each other, or who would require greater acts of synchronicity to come together. But now it's a lot more effortless. right? Like if you have a special interest, you can literally type it in and find a whole community, a lot of them. And I feel like that's what this kind of sort of energy is right here as well. But again, it's like before you can build a home with anyone else, you need to build a home within the self. And this isn't house energy. This isn't structural energy. This is the home. This is the heart. It's Cancerian, right? But what's sitting above all of this is this decision. And the decision, again, is related to this heartbreak. It's related to your focus. And here's this. I actually saw this page. The Page of Swords was sitting under the Three of Swords, and I saw her before, and I didn't take her message. So, I mean, the Keeper is right here, and y'all know I love the Keeper, but I'm going to take this card as the message. Two cards, okay. The Wheel of Fortune and another page. So, we're going to bring this message for here, and then we're going to get another message for the other page, and it'll be, oh, that's a whole bunch, but I guess I'll take them. It'll be these. Ace of Pentacles, the Two of Cups, the Hermit, which is interesting because that's what I was just talking about. Not having that Virgo energy. It's the Hermit. It's within. It's in the self, but you would never see it. I feel like this is the part of us. I'm gonna say it before I lose it. There are parts of us, I guess, that are so uniquely us, that are so purely us, that they can't be accurately reflected back to us. And the only insight that we get into this part of us, since it can't be accurately reflected back, would be partial reflections or distorted reflections. And that's what this Hermit energy kind of sort of is. This is the erudite. He's very wise, right? Let's have Siri help me out on this one. It's interesting that that's the erudite because, and I have not seen this friend in months. I haven't talked to her. She ain't been on her social. She ain't really a social person anyway. She done went home, and when she go home, she ain't got no internet because she live in the country. And so I haven't talked to her, but I was on Instagram and I saw her make a post. I was like, oh snap. Oh snap. I ain't seen you in a minute. You've been on my mind, girl. She actually popped into my mind earlier today or like last night. And then I saw her pop up on Instagram. And again, she's not really on social. So I was surprised, especially on Instagram. But I helped her study for the GRE many a summer ago. And one of the words that kept popping up was erudite. And there's this mutual friend that we had, and he said that there was something in the Hunger Games, maybe there were people called the erudites or something like that. I don't know. I never watched the Hunger Games. But he was like, that's how, like, I know what the word means. And I want to say he's a Virgo, but he seemed more of a Leo. Shout out to all these people who I'm finding out are Geminis. Turns out I've liked Geminis like all my life. Ooh, I thought it was just college, but no, I've always liked Gemini energy, apparently. Hey Siri, define erudite.
Erudite means having or showing great knowledge or learning.
There you go. Erudite. Where did Ia come from? You see that? Look at that. Y'all see that silent Y in there? Y'all see that silent Y? ERUDITE, and then it put that Y in there in parentheses. That's a silent E. But the E ain't even in there. The E sound is silent. And then I watched this whole Shrek, but it's only E. All these things just kind of sort of happening, but they're just like E, 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 E in the whole movie, and it was actually quite entertaining. It's about balance, okay? But erudite was one of the words that came up on that list, and that's one of the words, probably the only word that I remember because it came up so much because that would be one of the ones that she couldn't remember. So we would have to keep doing it. The other one she got, so we didn't have to focus on it. And then here's the erudite right here. Speaking of the Virgo energy that hasn't been come into yet. But I guess it could also speak to more broadly, if as above, so below, as within, so without, as a individual in the collective space that may be a reflection of some collective energy. And since it's coming to me through this video that I'm recording, it's like this purification of the earth. It's a purity that this planet hasn't known for at least a very long time. And the planet itself. So everything that I did yesterday or 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago. What was yesterday? What did I do yesterday? Everything that I did 2 days ago. And I guess the last two cards are the Two of Wands and the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Pentacles and the Knight of Wands. This is about being in between worlds, and this is about boldly, brazenly, passionately moving forward to this new world. And that's fire reaction. So if a few things get singed, then hey. Girl, well, I'm glad one of us could be. And my South Node is in Gemini too, so hey. Maybe that's why I always feel a kind of sort of sense of home with them. And maybe that's part of it. Since my South Node is in Gemini, it's like I'm comfortable in Gemini energy. So I just kind of sort of gravitate to Gemini a little bit. Mm. Yeah, I used to butt heads with my little brother. It wasn't until I left for college that we got along. And honestly, that's because I didn't have to live with him. It's because I didn't have to live with him. That's why our relationship improved. But yeah, it's interesting when you get into stuff like that. He has a lot of Gemini in his chart. Okay. And then that would be your North Node. And that's interesting because Sagittarian energy, I don't necessarily too much get down with. Like there are a few Sagittariuses, like Sagittarius in theory, I love, but Sagittarius in practice, not so much. And there are a few Sagittariuses, like one of my best friends. I have three extremely good friends who are either Sagittariuses or who have Sagittarius, like a lot of Sagittarius in their chart. But there's some other Sagittariuses where I'm just like, this ain't it. And I feel like it's because it's really easy for Sagittarius to go to almost religious extremes where it's like a this or that. And if you're on the other side, you're wrong because Sagittarius is so expansive and knowledgeable and philosophical that it can sometimes, a lot of times, run the risk of not being able to mesh well with other people. They can be very, like, I guess, dogmatic in their beliefs. And like that, I know, like, my North Node is in Sagittarius and I'm coming into it, so I may be getting a little bit more like this or that sometimes, but I always try to like I can still understand. I can still understand other sides. Ooh, she trying to fight. And then said, like, low key Sagittarius is be like, ooh, Sagittarius is we big, we bad, we this, we that, whatever. I'm like, y'all are the least intimidating fire sign. Like, if you were an Aries, if you were a Leo, maybe I would be intimidated. Maybe I would be a little bit frightened. But you just Sagittarius. What you gonna do? Like run away? Like, hello. Anyway, running with the Joneses. But yeah, people be like, and I guess it makes sense because Sagittarius is a fire sign, but like, and maybe it's because of the Pisces in my chart. It's like Sagittarius is the archer. Now, if it's a really, really good Sagittarius, then maybe they'd be able to hit a fish in water. But if you just like average, run of the mill, everyday Sagittarius, I'll just swim to the bottom of the ocean and your arrow will never find me. But if that's a blessed arrow, then hey, even this fish can get caught. So I respect Sagittarian energy, but at the same time, they be talking sometimes like all big and bad, but I ain't even afraid of them. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's not necessarily easy to be. I feel like the world isn't necessarily. I feel like the world. I feel like Earth as an empire, or as that empire energy sitting between the Emperor and the Empress, I feel like it is conducive to Sagittarian energy, but with the way that things are structured, it's not. Um, but there are Sagittariuses out there that still find a way to be happy. So if them Sagittariuses can do it, then anybody. If Scorpios can be happy, Sagittarius can be happy. If Capricorn can have fun, then Sagittarius can be happy. Shoot, let me stop. Um, well, I was going somewhere with the Earth, Virgo coming into a purity that the Earth hasn't quite yet known. And it's like the Earth has grown and evolved, and the Earth has been changed because of everything that we've done to it over time. But at the same time, it's like it's a maturity. Um, the Earth has evolved, right? The Earth is getting slammed by all of this, everything, just like us on the planet, like us on the surface, like the planet itself is getting slammed by everything. Um, and so, yeah, the Earth is also a Libra, apparently. See, there's something like as above, so belowy with all of this. And we had two messengers that came out with apparently all of these cards. And I love that the first one came out with that Wheel of Fortune. Oh, oh, ho, ho, ho. Are y'all ready for this? Dun, 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 dun. I don't even know the song. I forgot because now I got SpongeBob in my mind. Y'all see that Wheel of Fortune? And that you see that wheel, and then you see the Wheel of Fortune. These are wheels of fortune with pinnacles. These are Earths at the center of the Wheel of Fortune. Earth in the middle of these zodiacal wheels, right? But now we also have the South Node where everything is kind of sort of in reverse. Everything is going backwards. And then, and then, if that weren't wild enough, we also have this Ace of Pentacles. So we have the wheel and the pinnacle that sits in the middle of it, right? We have this joined one, and then the other cards are the joined one, the Hermit. I'll do it this way: the joined one, the Hermit, and the Knight of Wands, the Shining Flame. Speaking of Virgo as keeper of the flame energy through the Vestal Virgins, right? And then we get this Knight of Wands and this Two of Cups. And so things that we experience on the surface are reflected onto and reflections of not only the collective consciousness, but also the consciousness of the planet that we live on, right? Because if Earth all of a sudden one day, if Mama G, if Mother Gaia decided all of a sudden one day to stop caring about us, then we would be gone. If like people are talking about, oh, like this is happening, and now at the same time, all of this other stuff is happening. It's like the Earth itself is trying to kill us, and it's like, no, if the Earth itself was trying to kill us, we would be dead. Like she has the power, the authority, and the ability. She got the all three as a feminine energy. She has the all three to decide to stop creating and to decide to start destroying. If she really wanted to destroy us, we'd be gone. But there's almost this maturity that comes with this decision on her part as well. There's almost this maturity that she's had to gain, because I feel like with the energy of Gaia, her energy feels like that of like, I feel like there are things that I'm like cycles are cycles regardless, right? So outside of just the way that nature works and the things that have to happen for then other things to come in and happen, speaking to the outside of just cycles in general, I feel like there are things that maybe she's had to do to us that she didn't necessarily want to, but because of how we've treated her and because of everything that's happened over time, it's like she's reached the point where it's like, it can't be all love all the time. And it can't be all love all the time in the sense of like, you can't always love someone, or like Earth is a Libra. Libra is martyr energy. You can't be a martyr for folks all the time. And maybe there were some ways that she was potentially shielding us and protecting us from some things. Maybe she was holding herself back in a lot of these cycles because she didn't want to rock us too hard. But she's like, you know what? It's like they're not going to learn any other way. And if I truly love them, sometimes tough love is necessary. Sometimes you got to say the things that might hurt somebody's feelings in order to get them to really see themselves for who they are and to grow from it. Like, there's been so much conversation lately about one person in particular from somebody in this house. And I'm like, how long are you going to keep talking about this? What are you going to do about it? But it's like, I don't see how this person doesn't see this about them. I don't see how this person doesn't see that about them. And then it's like, because no one tells this person how they are, because everyone kind of sort of just goes with it. And they've lived their whole life. And it's like, people in the family know, and people in the family see, and the people closest to this person see them as this, but they never bring it up. And since they never bring it up to that person, it's like, since the people closest to them never bring it up, there's never any growth because everybody else is just a hater. When in reality, it's like there are issues within you, but since the people in your environment who love you fail to call you out on it, you stay stuck in these patterns that you can't even see within yourself. And when you get these reflections that are highlighting it to you, you dismiss and deny them. And it's like, okay, everybody who ain't related to you is crazy, or everybody who ain't related to you is wrong. Maybe it's the people closest to you not telling you how you really are. Yeah. And it's kind of sort of like that it's like she's coming out of that. She's coming to the space of tough love because I mean, it's like we've been nothing but tough on her. We've been nothing but take for a minute, if not an hour, if not at least a whole day. Like, talk about a hot minute. It's been a hot year. um, but I feel like she's kind of sort of reached the space where it's like this tough love to get us, because it's like, it's kind of sort of, in order for her to get to the place that she needs to be, we got to get to the place that we need to be, right? Yeah, it's exactly that. And my mom is like talking, whoop. I mean, anybody in the house could be talking about anybody, but my mom in the house, she been talking about somebody that she's interacting with, and she's like, I don't get how she doesn't see it. It's like, because nobody calls her out on it, nobody highlights it to her. Like, even her husband. I ain't got to put everybody business out there, but at the same time, and it's interesting because that's one thing that. But like, I don't want my mama to keep coming to me. I'm like, okay, this is how that person is. What are you gonna do? Because you just sitting here complaining. That's taking away energy that you could be putting somewhere else. Like, when it comes to that Virgo energy, the earth works at its best, at its finest, when it's clean. because when the earth isn't clean, it has to divert energy to navigating and creating these detours, right? Like earth is always going to find a way, yes, but she would be much more plentiful and much more abundant if she didn't always have to find a way, because we always making her find a way, right? If we wasn't constantly creating these obstacles and these hurdles, like she been running marathons for eons. And now it's like, she like, can I catch a breath? Can I take a break? And she like, if I can't breathe, you ain't gonna be able to breathe. And I mean, that's a sentiment that's been reflected in all kinds of places. And unfortunately, that's the way that we come upon change down here. Um, right? Oh, it's 12:12. Hey, hold on. I'm gonna hold this window open for y'all. It's 12:12 or 21:21. That's a world. 21:21 is the world. 12:12 is the hangman, which would be an empress if you break it down. But yeah, it's like she's matured to the point to know that you can't always give people what they want, because when you always give phone on 12%, hey, what's my phone on? My phone is on 80%, so you know, um, you can't always give people what they want all the time. And I feel like, like I said, I feel like at her core, the energy of Gaia is very compassionate, very like the Queen of Pentacles, very nurturing, very abundant, very kind, very compassionate, very caring. But just like that, like maybe the Earth used to be a Queen of Cups. She used to be a Queen of Cups, right? Back in the Pangea days when it was one continent and a whole bunch of water. Apparently, back in the Mu days when it was one continent and a whole bunch of water, she was a Queen of Cups, and she was like, you know what? It's time to be a Queen of Pentacles, because I can't keep Queen of Cups in these people, because all they do is destroy. Um, but yeah, I feel like it's tough love and it's a decision, but ultimately at the end of the day, and that's like these two. So this is a conversation that these two queens had, where you have the one queen that's like, I don't want to, like, I love them and blah blah blah, and then you got the Queen of Swords that's like, okay, you love them, fine, whatever, but how are they treating you? And sometimes you gotta make the hard decisions, and sometimes the hard decisions you make decisions sometimes the hard decisions you make because you love somebody, right? Sometimes it's the case of like, because I love you, I gotta walk away. Because I love you, I gotta take a step back. Because I love you, I have to learn to love myself. And then that's where this King of Swords energy comes in over here, right? Because it's like, for me to show up how I need to show up, I need to be all of who I am, and I need to be more of who I can be. Because I can't, like, you can't pour from an empty cup, and you can't receive in a cup that's full of holes, right? This ain't no like spaghetti strainer. Like, we trying to fill up the pot so we can boil some water so we can get the salt in there and then get the cooking. Did y'all see how I got all the elements in there? Because the water is in the pot, boiling is the fire, the salt is the earth, and then when it's boiling, the steam, that's the air, right? Oof. Okay. All right. So now we're moving over to delight. So this is the part where we're closing out cycles and chapters, and we're preparing to enter the new one. Maybe we're fresh into the new cycle, or we're approaching that fresh approach. Now here's the delight, where we can have fun, right? Now we can have fun because we've both decided, we both worked through all that stuff we need to work through. Archangel of Healing, I love that. Oh my gosh, I was gonna go looking for the King of Cups. I was gonna go looking for the King of Cups because we got the Queen and the King of Cups over here, or we got the King and Queen of Swords over here, with the Queen of Cups sitting in the middle, and I was gonna go looking for the King of Cups, but something in me was like, no, don't go looking for it. And if I would have went looking for the King of Cups, I wouldn't have found it because the King of Cups was already on the table. The King of Cups is already on the table. And the King of Cups is wanting to build after it's coming to this period of rewriting its own story. After it's done all of this inner child, after it's done all of this self-healing, right? And so the King and the Queen of Cups, the King and the Queen of Swords are both on the board. They're all on the table. I love it. And this is kind of sort of what is this is exactly kind of sort of what I was just saying, right? It's like, because I love you, I have to learn to love myself. Because if I don't love myself, I can't be all of who I need to be or all of who I want to be for you and with you. And so that's where this Archangel of Healing energy comes in, the King of Cups, with this Queen of Cups that was sort of sitting between them, right? When I said, like, there's these emotional sort of walls, there's these emotional guards that it's like mentally these people know that they want to be together. They know that it makes sense for them to be together. And this could be you with the self. Again, I've already done all of this about how, like, energy is energy, and it's in the self and it's outside of the self. It's like logically they know that they want to be together. Logically, maybe they know that they should be. They're meant to be together. But because of all of these emotional walls, it's not going to happen. And so then on the other side, first we have the decision for them to come together. And for them to decide to come together, first they have to decide to step apart, to do this healing, to build themselves up, right? To then, to then be able to work together. But it required this Archangel of Healing with this Six of Cups. This is very, 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 very deep healing. This is Scorpio energy. This is the heart of Scorpio. This is second deck in Scorpio. What planet is this? Oh, this is the sun in Scorpio. That's the sun in Scorpio. That's bringing light to all of that darkness. Everything brought to light. And that's the level of healing that was needed for the King and Queen of Cups to come together. And again, that's what's going to lead to this delight. Like, if all of this hasn't been done, you're not going to find this. And if all of this hasn't been done, trying to come into this, you're not going to find success. You're not going to find success. And like, I mean, people have been talking about it for a while. And it's like, it's not brand new information, but it's going to be who actually did it and who didn't do it. And then again, we have this bereaved, this Three of Swords. We have the Keeper and the bereaved at the bottom of the deck, right? And again, you see the Keeper in the mirror, right? It's like there were some things that were reflected. Oh! And now here we have this new world order. I love it. I didn't even know because I didn't pick up the Keeper. So behind the Keeper is this whole new world, is the new world order. I love this. And I want to keep going, but I'm going to stop. I want to keep going, but I'm going to stop. Because I don't need to. And what was at the bottom of the deck over here? Concentration. Under concentration, I'm not going to look and see what's under this, but under concentration is blessings, and I love that. Under concentration is blessings. I didn't want to look and see what was under blessings because I was going to pull it, right? And so that's what all this was about. Even through all of this Three of Swords heartache, even through the many, many, many ways that the heart distracts itself, and through all of the distractions that we manifest, if you've been able to concentrate on doing all of the deep healing that you needed to do, then it's going to be reflected in the world, right? I already showed y'all these, but like if you've been able to concentrate on it, it's going to be reflected in the world. And this is like when we speak of karmic cycles, like that's how you enter from the south node into the north node, right? From the upside down world to the right side up world. So look, I got 6 cards, 3 and 3. I actually have. Yes. Okay. I'm actually gonna shut this down. My food is here. I hope y'all have a good whatever, whenever, and I'll catch y'all later. This video is over anyway, and I'm about to eat.